I'm Damien Barrett. Welcome to Access All Areas. Matthew Lloyd joins me as always. And Lloydie, did you see enough yesterday from the Pies to say that their troubles are behind them?
You can't say their troubles are behind them, Damo, being 2 wins and 3 losses and having to play the Eagles in Perth next Sunday. But I thought they played the perfect first half yesterday. It was 14 goals to 2. Their pressure was first class, and their ball use, which they were ranked 18th in the competition leading into this game for foot skills. And they hardly missed a target. But Essendon's pressure was really, really poor, Damo, so they'd be really frustrated with that. They looked overawed, the Bombers, by the occasion.
There are a lot of things said about Collingwood going into this game, and one of them was made by the captain, Scott Pendlebury, saying that they tried some millionaire kicks. Watching some of this here, in the first half and even the second half yesterday, they were trying some trick kickery. Is it something they're going to have to do, though, Lordo, in order to actually have an impact on this season?
Yeah, I think you've got to be bold sometimes to get through the zones and the presses of the other teams. And what was great about Collingwood yesterday, they started their skipper, Scott Pendlebury, in the middle of the ground. He got back to his best. Sidebottom, who'd been suspended, he's probably their best player now and their most damaging player. Treloar played well. So their best 3 players performed on the big stage, and some of the players who have been out of form, Darcy Moore, Jeremy Howe, Frost on Danaher, a lot of those guys found form as well.
Travis Cloke forced to play in the VFL. How long do you feel he's going to be forced to stay there?
At least another week. I think I wouldn't play him this week. 4 possessions. So I don't care if you've been belted by 80 points in the VFL. You've still got to do more than get 4 possessions. Get up the ground, find a bit of ball. So Mason Cox will find the going tough in Perth next week, and I expect Travis to come back to play Carlton and Brisbane the following 2 weeks after that.
OK. Look, Fremantle has, I think, caught everyone by surprise. Top of the ladder after the home and away season last year, now 0-5. And this is not just a team out of form, Lordo, is it? This is a team that is genuine bottom 4 or 5.
Well, their foot skills could have played the Benny Hill music on Saturday, Damon. I think they're some of this, and it's not just the young players. What I liked about Ross on the weekend, at least he played a lot of kids. But Daniel Pearce, been around long enough to not miss targets like that. But they are bereft of any confidence. Stephen Hill there just chucks it on the boot. You just haven't seen this from Freo in the past. Nathan Fyfe there. So it was genuinely looked like a bottom 2 contest. And I can't remember a fall from grace bigger than this, than what Fremantle have done.
Look, there's reasons, if you want to delve deep, and even just on the surface too. Sandiland's out for long term. Fyfe, we now don't know if he's going to return this season. Johnson's in that same vote as well. Mundy has had the issues which have allowed him to not play as well. Adelaide, GWS and Hawthorn come in the next 3 weeks. Do you see them winning any of those 3?
Oh, probably not on form. And Harley Bennell's been a huge loss too that we also forget about. But no, on their current form, I can't see them beating any of those sides.
It could be 0-8, having finished top of the ladder.
Unbelievable, isn't it?
Look, it was a strange game to watch, and there were a series of comedy caper type moments to go with your Benny Hill music suggestion here. Take us through what happens here. How does Andrew Phillips do that?
Oh, well, yeah, you're expecting him to tackle big Jonathan Griffin there, and I'm not sure if he thought he was a teammate. I know Ruckman aren't the smartest guys, Damo, but he needed to lay a tackle there, so that was the first bizarre one. Fremantle, you can tell they're off. They're a disciplined side, Fremantle, but where were the players on the goal line? Someone should have been there, they weren't. When you're doing a snap, the ball drops and dips like it might. So there's that one, and then this one.
Is bizarre. Taberner touches a ball he doesn't need to touch.
Yeah, I cut him a little bit of slack, but sometimes you don't know if it's going through the points or the goals.
Well, Pavlich is not cutting him any slack, and nor is this little, I reckon, my 4-year-old Lordy. Look, she knows
very funny. Very, very funny. I want to move on to Melbourne and Tom Bugg. I want to ask you what you think of Bugg's behaviour on the weekend. He's a player that has to play on the edge. But this moment here where he kicks a goal.
Well, I like showboating as a rule, but I think you need to pick your moments, and I think you need to have a bit behind you, more so than Tommy Bugg does. You can see the scores there, Lotto. This game could still go either way at that stage. There would have been hell to pay for him if it went against Melbourne. But no, I think it was too early, and I'm just not sure that it's the sort of message that Paul Roos and Nathan Jones want to send, given what they've been through as a footy club. He's been good, and he's crucial to what lies ahead for them, but I think it's a time and a place. He was also involved in an incident which he managed to get a fine for from the AFL Match Review panel. Look, in another era, that would have been... you can say that that's a bit minor, but this is a player getting treated by his medical staff. And in another era, maybe under Adrian Anderson, he might have copped a week or 2 suspension for interfering with that process.
Yeah, it's just a no-no. Jack Riewoldt rolled his ankle there, and we see the pictures. So this is where Bug is crossing the line. He has to play on the edge as a player because he's not that talented in regards to getting picked every week on pure ability, but you just don't do that. We saw the Brisbane players get in a Nick Revolt a number of years ago, and it's just not acceptable in today's footy.
There was a fair bit of spite in that game, wasn't there? There's a lot on the line for both clubs. Melbourne going back-to-back wins for the first time in 5 seasons, and Richmond's season falling away. You picked up on this?
Yeah, I found this really interesting watching it at home. Nathan Jones, isn't this a demonstrative type of captain? You know, the bald head, the tats aside, he's a very placid, softly spoken sort of guy, and he's taken exception to something. I don't know if it's the team or Jack in particular, but he's made his point there, and it was a real spiteful game. Two teams who we saw probably pretty even going into it, and Melbourne were too good in the end.
Richmond's season's falling apart, and Alex Rance won't be there now, Lordo, for 2 weeks after what he did to Jack White. So, look, it gifted Melbourne a goal at a time when Richmond would have still been hanging on to some hope in winning. It probably was beyond it at that stage, but it's just not what was required right now.
No, he'd be extremely embarrassed by that. You know, a player on the ground, you know, can't protect himself, and Alex does that. Obviously, he's put his hand up. He got it completely wrong, and you know, he's a frustrated man, but there's still no excuse for that.
Now, he got 2 weeks for that. Ben Cunnington didn't get any weeks for this and what he did to Gary Ablett.
It's time for you, after this show, to head up there. Because, Damo, you're very good at understanding reports, but how someone can get 2, I know they're a totally different instance. He deserved 2 Rants, but that's as crude an act as Rance's, in my opinion. You don't drop the knees into someone's back. And he didn't just fall over there, Cunnington.
So he should have got 1 in your eyes?
He deserved the week.
I do agree with that. I think I might have to head upstairs and sort that out. Port and Cats had a massive stoush at quarter time, but beyond what we see here, and look, it was questionable whether that Jonas hit on Dangerfield was maybe a split second too late. What I can tell you is that the Cats players were furious with him and other players had the targeting of Dangerfield. But this happened at quarter time. Look, part of us, all of us, I think, likes seeing it, but when you Port Adelaide and you instigate it, which they did when Pittard came in to kick it off again, you've got to then back it up, don't you, Lordo, after play resumes. And you can see Chris Scott telling, even though he said he didn't speak to Hamish Hallett, he seems to remind him that that's what he needs to do, and they didn't do it.
They had a great first quarter, Port Adelaide, but it was 15 goals to 3 after that brawl, after quarter time. And players like Wingard, 7 possessions, Hartlett 11, Robbie Gray 11. They are as undisciplined a side in the competition at the moment and just cannot run out games, which was meant to be their strength in previous years.
They've got massive issues, haven't they? You pointed out in other conversations that they get a string of goals kicked against them in 3 of the 5 games they've played this year.
Yeah, I think against Adelaide in round 2 was 9 goals. I think the GWS was 11 goal to 2 run, and then obviously on the weekend was about another 8 or 9.
Issues off the field too have stemmed from what's going on the field. The President, David Koch and Travis Boak were required to come together over something Koch said last week. But there's ill-disciplined and undisciplined acts, aren't there, going on the field, which is indicative of what is going on.
Yeah, Trent Gove here cops one from Selwood and he reacts but he gets a week. He got a week for that, so I think so. But Selwood's got to be careful because he doesn't mind throwing a few around himself. Here's Robbie Gray. Robbie Gray's had a great year, being Port's best player, but again, he was out of control on the weekend, and we saw him sit on the bench for 3 minutes at the end of the third quarter. Ken Hinkley's had enough. Ken Hinkley's not coaching that well, but he's been let down by his senior players as well.
Yeah, it's an evolving story there, isn't it? So West Coast lost to Sydney Swans in a way that I don't think too many of us expected, Lordo. Adam Simpson, I reckon for about maybe 11 months now, has been talking about Jeremy McGovern's possibilities as playing as a forward. Is it time now to pull that trigger?
It's horses for courses each week. I view Jeremy McGovern as a swing man, but it's much easier playing in the back line in the modern day game. And Jeremy, he plays a loose man. It takes a lot of marks. He's a very, very good player, but I don't think he'd stand up as a forward week in and week out.
Really?
I look at his body shape. I still don't feel you can tell he's come from a long way back, because I think he was over 100 kilos, 110 kilos when he was coming through. But I think against Collingwood this week, I'd try it because I think the players with him need some support. Jack Darling and Josh Kennedy in particular.
Yeah, well, their records, those two players you mentioned, are pronounced when it comes to playing at their home Domain Stadium. Away from there, Lordo, this is since round 1 2015. their output isn't as significant.
No, you're right. And I think it stems from their midfield too. A lot of those guys being shut down. And it was interesting in that game. I was up at the SCG and I noticed this with Buddy Franklin and Chris Marston. Buddy Franklin's in amazing form. Kicked 2-4 or 2-5 on the weekend. So he didn't have his kicking boots on. But he's helping Marston here. Not hit the fence.
Clearly he's helping Marston.
Yeah, and he was pinged for holding the man there.
What, for that?
For that. Hey, while we were upstairs on the Cunnington one, can you speak about that one? Because they just got to understand the feel of the game sometimes, the umpires.
You got a free kick for holding him.
But was pinged for that one.
North Melbourne plays the Bulldogs on Friday night. They are the heaviest scoring team in the competition so far. Adelaide sits inside the 8, but a bit lower. They are the second highest scoring team, Lotto. Which forward line stacks up better?
Well, on paper, everyone just loves the Adelaide forward line. They think it's the best in it, but it's rare that 3 tall forwards works. But somehow he makes it work, and these players make it work. Brown, Petrie and Waite just fit like a glove all the time. When one's down, the other one bobs up, and just phenomenal. They shouldn't be doing what they're doing at that age, Petrie and Waite.
So you're taking the North setup over the Adelaide setup?
And with this Friday night, game of the round, Western Bulldogs, Suckling out now, along with Joe Hannison and Rob Murphy, so they should go in as favourites, the North.
Now, the game's 100+ years old, Auto.
Yeah.
As far as I know, you need to kick the ball once the opposition kicks it behind. You can't just handball, Auto.
No, he's a Brighton grammar boy, so he's had a good education there, James Hunt, but he lost his mind there, and obviously the second game, Damo, we cut him some slack, but lost his marbles there for a split second.
I've never seen it. Have you seen it?
No, I haven't, but maybe he's a forward that's never played back before.
Tigers players reminded him of what he did. Hey, we'll be back at our usual time of Monday next week. Thanks for your time today, Lordo, and thanks for watching Access All Areas. Goodbye.